Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. For this week's guitar lesson, I'm going to break down and show you how to play the song It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And this is a really cool arrangement because we're playing it with a pick, but it's not that difficult. It's kind of got a bluesy feel to it, and it's something that I'm going to break down as I go through it, my thought process for creating a composition like this. So if you've got a Christmas song or another song that you want to be able to do this to, by the end of this lesson, hopefully you'll understand how to do that, how to dissect it, break it down into something that you can play in this style. So I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and access the tablature and the on-screen tab viewer for this lesson, you can get that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP337. All right, so every year around this time, I like to put out a Christmas song, and I've been doing this for many years. So if you don't like this song, or if you want to learn another Christmas song or see the ones that I've done, you can go to the Active Melody website and then go to the lessons page and look at the Christmas guitar lessons category. I've got them all put there. But this year we're going to be doing It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And what I like about this is it gives you an opportunity to learn this ahead of time, ahead of the season. So if you wanted to perform this for family, friends, play it at church or whatever, you've got the opportunity to play it or to learn how to play it. And this is not difficult. This is something that just about anyone can do. It's just basic chords. We're going to be picking out a melody that you already know. So that's a bonus. And so that's what we're going to be doing. It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And I kind of worked in like a little bit of a bluesy angle to that. I like to do that, kind of give it my own little spin, I guess. And there's lots of different arrangements of this. Sometimes people use jazzy like diminished chords or minor chords where I'm using a major chord. And so that's a frustrating thing when you're trying to learn a piece of music. You don't know where to start with it. And so I found it's easiest to just create your own, and hopefully by the end of this lesson you'll at least understand how to do that. And I'm going to try and break it down, at least that my thought process for how to create a melody or a composition like this off of a melody that you already know, so that you can start to do that too. Okay, so the song is played in the key of E. Well, I'm playing it in the key of E. It's been played in every key probably. And I'll explain that as we get into it. But the first thing that I did was I picked out the melody. And I didn't listen to anything. I just went off my head, what I knew of the melody. So I found... Right? So if we started with that little piece of the melody, and I'm talking single string stuff, like one finger on a piano type melody, not harmonies or anything. So that's the first step you'd want to do if you're trying to write a composition like that. Then you figure out what chords go underneath that melody. At least this is my process for it. So the chords for that, if we're playing in the key of E, it'd be the 1 chord, the 4 chord, which is your A, and then back to the 1, 4, 1. So E, A, E, A, E, right? Now, why the key of E? Well, you'll see that the key of E is very practical on the guitar because you have the open strings that ring out. Now, I'm not playing this finger style. I'm playing this with a pick. If you are a finger style player, you can just do it, with your fingers. But it allows you to have those notes that ring out. So when I played at the beginning, hear that E note ringing out, that bass note? If I'd picked a key like G sharp, I wouldn't have been able to let that note ring out. As soon as I move my hands, that's going to end that ringing out. So that's just something to keep in mind. The key of E, the key of A, those are very popular keys for that reason. So that's a good starting point. If you're trying to figure out where to write something, start with E or A. Okay, so anyway, let's get into the specifics of this song now. So that's kind of the thought process. First, figure out the melody, then figure out the chords underneath the melody. And if you go online to try and figure out chords, you're going to get every type of arrangement, so you can get real frustrated. So try and do it all by ear. You can do this. So if you know the melody, then you can figure out those chords to support that melody. So once you've kind of got that, now you have to figure out how to put the two pieces together. How do I take that melody and those chords? I've only got 2 hands here. How can we do that? And I don't want to play this finger style. I'm doing that intentionally just to show you that you can do this with chords. So now is where the caged system comes into play. And if you're not familiar with that, make sure you check out lesson EP337. That's a lesson I did a while ago explaining what the caged system is and how it works. And so what we're going to do, knowing what that melody is, how would I play a chord underneath that? Well, I know it's in the key of E, so does this E chord work? Well, there's that note. No, that one's out because it's too big of a reach and I can't make it work. So now I move up into this position. That's where I would have that E chord using the D chord shape. So I could go, and that works, but notice I don't have that bass note ringing out. And I'm playing this with a pick, which means I'm raking it down. So if I were to try and do that, it's not gonna work because I've got those open strings in there. So I just kind of keep messing around. I just look at my different E shapes. I came up here to this one, and that works perfectly. So that's using the A chord shape out of Caged. Even though we're not playing an A chord, we're using that A chord shape, and that's all explained in that EP337 lesson. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, make sure you check that out. Okay, so the way that I started this then was with that open B string, or the open 2 string, and then we go right into that E chord. Now, what I'm playing is strings 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. So I'm letting that 6th string ring out, hence the key of E, and that's why we're playing in this key. Okay, the next note is right there, so that would be on the 8th fret, 3rd string. So now we have, and then I'm going to come down and play. So what is this? Well, let me show you this shape first. So I think of this as the D7 chord shape, and you've seen me talk about this in a lot of lessons. And so this shape, if you were to play the D7 chord down at 1st position, you just take that same shape, it's a little triangle shape, and you play it here so that your middle finger and your ring finger are both on the 7th fret, strings 2 and 4, and your index finger is on the 6th fret, 3rd string. Now these 3 strings, in conjunction with the open 5th string, is really creating, it's an A6 chord. That's what the chord is. But I wasn't thinking about A6 chords or any of that. I was just thinking about the melody. So I knew we were at this point in the song. So I was picturing how I was going to play that. So I started with the different A chords. I started in 1st position with this one. I could have played it right there because that note is the same as that note, right? So that's also an A6. But it didn't have the same feel for me. Now, other guitar players might play it down there. I don't know. I just didn't like that going into that open string. I'm letting go of control. I don't know how long that string's going to ring out. So I played it here so that I could play the melody like that. And to do that, I just looked at the different places that I could play the A chord. So I started there, then I went up to the A bar chord here where we're barring on the 5th fret, and I looked at that chord, and I know if I move my pinky up here, I can turn that chord into that A6 chord, which is where that note lives. But that was just noodling around. You have to sit down with it and be very scientific about it, and try and figure out where you want to place those notes. I mean, there's just not like I'm not good enough to just be able to improvise that. I could do a crude version of it, but it wouldn't be very good. So so we have, right? Makes sense. So that's 5, 4, 3, and 2. Now after that, I'm going to try and let that 5th string ring out while I play the rest of the melody there. And so what I'm doing after that, 5th fret, 2nd string, 2nd fret, 2nd string. So, in fact, I think I just slid down to that note. I don't think I picked it. That sounds kind of cool. So, and then we go back to the E chord. Now I could have played it up here, but that didn't sound right. So, but this does. That's the next note, right? So what I played was E, A, E. And I stopped at the 2nd string there. So 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You don't hit the 1 string. Now, did I have to switch the chord to the A chord there? No. I could have played it like this. Just putting my pinky down, staying on the E chord, and that would have been fine too. There's a million different ways that this song has been arranged. But that's what I was hearing in my head. It's kind of the 1 to the 4 chord thing. I like to work that in as much as I can. I just love the sound of it. So we have... Okay, now the next part goes like this. So then you have to figure out the chords under that. So I know that's an A chord. I can just hear it. I figured out that was the 4 chord. So I just played the A chord right here in first position. That's where we bar the first 4 strings on the 2nd fret. And I'm going to play strings 5, 4, 3, and 2. And I use my pinky, this is important, you'll see why, to come up to the 4th fret, 2nd string, and then up to the 5th fret, 2nd string. So that's, my pinky is continuing to play that melody. The reason I'm using my pinky is I'm going to switch to that next chord, which will be the major 2 chord. So now I have heard this song played different ways. I've heard that played as a minor, and that's one way to do it. And I've also heard it played as the major chord. And I'm playing it technically, I guess, as a dominant 7 chord, which is a major chord. So it's been done either way. And a lot of these Christmas songs will have that. You'll hear a version of it like I did last year. I did What Child Is This? Or Green Sleeves. And I've heard there's major versions of that and there's minor versions. You just have to kind of go with whatever you want. So I heard this kind of going like that. So after the A, I kept my pinky there on the 5th fret, 2nd string, and let these other fingers fall into place while that one stayed. So that one stays down. And while that stays down, I'm going to bar the 2nd fret, and then I'm going to put down my ring finger on the 4th fret, 5th string, and my middle finger on the 3rd fret, 3rd string, so that it sounds like this. So it's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then the 1 string, then your pinky comes off and comes up here to the 4th fret, 1st string. So it goes. And that's just part of the melody. Right? Let's back it up from the beginning now, and we'll play up to that point slowly. So we have... Right? It's starting to form. Now the next chord is the 5 chord. So that's our B chord in this case. And now that's the chord. I figured that out. Now where do I play it? Do I play... That would work. That's a B chord. But that's a stretch because I'm already in this awkward position. Do I really want to go from that up to here? Probably not. So I look at other options. Well, I have a B chord there. But listen, I don't have that note in the melody. I'm wanting that note. So remember the melody goes... So if you can hear if I play that, I'm not getting that note. But if I play the B7 like this, or if I played the B7, I didn't, these others were just Bs, but this is a B7, with my pinky there on the 2nd fret, 1st string, I can work in that melody note. So now I can play. All right? And that's just my logic for working this out. So I want you to take a song like Jingle Bells or any song that you want. You could pick a Christmas song or it could be anything. And try something simple. Happy Birthday would be a good one where you work out the melody and then you work out the chords and you put them together in just the same way that I'm doing. And so you can use the same kind of logic. Okay, now there's a little bit of a lag there where you have to just sort of hang out And I don't have any kind of rhythm going on or anything, so what I did just to fill the space is right? Gave it a little bit of a blues thing. So we're playing a B7 chord here, and I came up and played another version of the B7 chord, and I love this version. I use that quite a bit when I'm improvising. So what I did was I pictured the B7 chord like this, and then I pictured that same chord where we replace where the pinky is with our index finger, and then we just change out the bass note. So now I'm playing on the 6th fret 5th string. So I slid into that note, and then I played strings 4 and 3 on that 4th fret. And then my ring finger comes up here to the 6th fret 4th string, and then it goes up one more to the 7th fret. So it goes. Really cool sound. And remember that going forward, if you want to if you got a little filler, or if you're improvising and you want to throw in a 7 chord, like a real bluesy sound, you can do that over any chord now. So if you know now how to play that over the B chord, so if I said do that over a D, if you're playing a song with a D chord, you can go. Right? Really cool. It's just a very easy way to transition into that 7 chord. All right, so let's take it from the beginning. We have. Nice, right? Now we go right back into the exact same thing we just played. It just repeats itself. The only difference is the second time through it goes. So it's a little different tag on the ending there. So that's what the melody is. It goes. If I'm just playing the single strings. But how do we make that sound more interesting? Well, let's put the chords underneath it. So I started with that A chord. Instead of finding another one, I was already in position. Oh, that's another thing. I should have probably mentioned this. Wherever your hand is, think of these as neighborhoods, these different chords that you're playing. And we're hanging out in this neighborhood. Look for a chord that's in the neighborhood. You don't have to necessarily jump to one that's high up on the neck if it's not necessary. So try and find something close by. That's probably obvious, but I just wanted to mention that. So we're only going to play 5, 4, 3, and 2. We're drawing out that note from the melody. And then we go to the 5 chord, or the B chord. That's where we're using that same chord shape that we just played for the A, but we're sliding it up, and so now we've got our index finger down on the 2nd fret 5th string. But remember, just 5, 4, 3, and 2. And then, just to give it a little bit of flair, I went like that. So that's my index finger on the 2nd fret, 2nd string. I do a hammer on to the 3rd fret and a pull off. That's that 2nd string. Ring finger goes down on the 4th fret, 3rd string. And then we play the E chord that you know, and you can play all 6 strings for this. Because the note in the melody is that note, that high E string. So, right? And that sounds so nice together. And all I was doing was just playing the chords, but I was pulling out the melody from the chords. Right? Okay. All right, and that's what we're going to cover in this video. Now, in the next video, we'll go into the next part, which is the whole, all of that. But we'll save that. Now, remember, if you're a premium member, you can have access to the tablature for this as well, and the on-screen tab viewer, so that'll help you be able to slow things down and loop sections and all that stuff. But let's back up. I'll play through this first half one more time slowly, and then we'll see you in part 2.